about Memphis that I don't already know. There's nothing you can tell me about Memphis.
From the boardroom to the streets.
That I don't already know.
With Mike from Memphis, man. Together, we can fix things. Really?
When you say, I want to be treated fairly, and I want a voice.
Yeah. He saw
voice.
things weren't fair, so he chose to run for mayor. You get up and do something when you really care. It's Memphis 360.
I'm with you. In the meantime,
It's Memphis 360.
in the meantime, in between time, we got folks shooting people up out the frame. Anybody said a word. We've become
Man.
accustomed to people dying in this city.
Yeah. It's Memphis 360.
Turning the TV on and the news and see our loved ones and see young people that are out of control. And now you see, okay. We talk about incarceration. We talk about the youth. We talk about giving them the ability. We talk about investing in young people and investing in the community. See, I hate ignorance. I hate when people make decisions about things and they make statements and they haven't done their research.
How can you fix the problem when you don't even know what the problem is?
We need some help in this city.
It's Memphis 360.
See, I hate ignorance.
It's Memphis 360. Man.
And good evening. We'd like to welcome you to another edition of Memphis 360, the television show that we say we like to go from the boardroom to the streets. And God, we have a good show for you tonight. I was fortunate enough to get Officer John Covington to come into the studio tonight, and he is the Vice President of the Memphis Police Association. And I'm going to tell you why that is so important. I want to send a shout out to KWAM 990. Man, I put a post up on their page in regards to, everybody say, be positive, be positive, be positive. But somebody has to focus on the negative. And I'm one of them dudes that I focus on the negative because I live the positive every day. And Memphis does have a lot of good things going on, but guess what? We got so many bad things that are happening in this city. And somebody needs to focus on correcting them. But we've had an officer that was shot and killed here in the city of Memphis, Officer McKinney. Our heart and prayers go out to him and his family. And, nobody ever wants to lose anybody, especially when they're out there doing their job. And it's kind of some controversy around that. I've been dealing with or watching as the DA is trying to defend him being released on bond after being arrested with a switch and 2 stolen cars, and he was released ROR. A lot of people are upset about that. It's just so much happening. So many people are being affected. So many citizens here in the city of Memphis are just frustrated with all of the crime that is occurring in this city. And then they're playing games on the Memphis Police Department. I said it, Mike Williams. My guest is going to come on. None of this is a reflection of John Covington. All of this is Michael R. Williams. They're playing games. They're playing games with promotions. They're playing games internally, creating division within the police department itself. I tell you, something is going to have to give, and it's going to have to give real soon. I saw on the Memphis Police Department page itself where I guess the mayor of the city of Memphis, Paul Young, was giving his 100-day speech. They called it a celebration. Shouldn't have never done that because a lot of officers thought that was very disrespectful. Right after an officer had got killed, you having celebrations. The other thing is, what is there to celebrate? That was the tone. If you want to, and if they haven't taken it down, go to the Memphis Police Department page and you can actually see it. The comments blew me away. And that's how come I know that citizens are very, very, very frustrated here in the city of Memphis, and they're just fed up. And I advise Mayor Paul Young, if you're going to be a two-term mayor, you better step outside of this because it is not looking very favorable. All you got to do is look at the comments. And if you look at the comments, you're going to see that people are not happy. They're not happy on the police department. They're not happy, the citizens of the city of Memphis. I get phone calls every day, my phone blowing up. Michael, look, I'm not in this anymore. But they just want to voice their opinions to someone because they're so frustrated. And they still feel as though they don't have contact with the director of the chief of the Memphis Police Department. And they're wondering what the heck is Mayor Paul Young doing. But they're also frustrated with the court system because it's like a revolving door. And individuals are committing heinous crimes and they're getting right back out. There's a lot of legislation going on up in Nashville right now. They're trying to put a muzzle on all of this from Nashville. All right? So guess what? I'm going to take a real quick break. And I'm going to bring John Covington on because I want to give him as much time as possible because I got a lot of questions. And he got a lot that he wants to say, I'm sure, because John likes to talk too. But I've been stopped by a lot of police officers, and they are not happy. Chief Jones, they're not happy. Mayor Paul Young, they're not happy. And they're on go. Now, what do you mean they're on go, Michael? Something has to give. I don't have anything to do with this. I haven't been to no police association meetings or anything like that. My phone just blows up. And I got two individuals that are still on the Memphis Police Department in my family. There's a lot of rumblings and grumblings going on internal to the police department because they feel as though Chief Jones and Chief Davis and Sean Jones are creating division within the Memphis Police Department. And that's why they want John up here, because I want to be able to say stuff like that and him not be affected, okay? Michael R. Williams, citizen of the city of Memphis, born in 1960, graduated Manassas High School. Hello, me. Taxpayer. Ooh, and I love it. I can say stuff like that. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back with John Covington of the Memphis Police Association. He is the vice president. We'll see you right after the break.
Can you actually imagine hosting your next event at the all-new SVP Banquet and Event Center? Yes, spacious, beautiful venue with plenty of parking, located in the heart of East Memphis. Let us host your next intimate birthday gathering, family repast, bachelorette party, wedding and reception, baby shower, corporate meeting, social club event. Call us today. Don't wait. 901-244-6874. The all-new SVP Banquet and Event Center. Tune in to Talking Law with Attorney Daryl O'Neill and the special guest host, Attorney Jerome Payne. Live TV talk on your digital device, on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV. Download the SVP TV app right now. Check us out every Tuesday on Comcast Cable, Channel 17, 8:30 p.m. And we are live every Friday on Facebook Live, 6 o'clock in the evening. You've got a question? Our attorneys have the answer. So let's talk law with Attorney Daryl O'Neill on the SVP TV network.
You're talking about a good time shield. We all come on now.
Center Stage Gospel Music live from Memphis, Tennessee, featuring gospel artists from around the world. Toe-tapping, hand-clapping, down-home gospel music. Watch on Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, and your local Comcast. Download the SVP TV app now on your smart television and mobile device. Center Stage Gospel season premieres Sunday, 8 p.m. Central.
Hey folks, it's Issa Haddad here. I got some good news and a special invitation for you to come see me here at Sunrise Collierville. Come on down, check out my inventory with new, pre-owned, and certified vehicles to choose from. I can get you finance when no one else can. Come on by, bring your family. I treat you like family. Come see me, Issa, here at the #1 dealership in the Mid-South, 4605 Houston Levy Road, Sunrise, Collierville. Come on down, check out my inventory with hundreds of vehicles to choose from, pre-owned, new, and certified.
Good news from Sunrise Chevrolet. Get in your new vehicle today. Come on in, ask for Issa. Bankrupt, slow pay, bad credit, it's okay. Let Issa put you in your brand new truck or car today when you shop at Sunrise Chevrolet, Collierville.
And don't forget, ask for me, Issa.
I'll be looking over there. And welcome back to Memphis 360, the television show that we say we like to go from the boardroom to the streets. And thank you so much for tuning in tonight. We got a lot we want to talk about. I got John Covington, who is the vice president of the Memphis Police Association, in the studio today. And I got a lot of questions I want to ask him. And I just want to say welcome to the show, John.
Well, thank you, sir. It's always a pleasure. Mike, you've always been a mentor to me.
Well, thank you.
And taught me so much, and I would not be in the position I am without you. So it's
Lies,
a pleasure
lies,
to be
lies,
here.
lies. Look,
All true.
Look,
all true.
very sharp guy, one of the cornerstones and one of the brain trusts behind you guys on the Memphis Police Department, getting all of this money that y'all getting now with this half-cent sales tax increase. John headed all that stuff up. John has been down there working really, really hard at the Police Association. And to all of those guys, Matt Cunningham, and all of the guys down at the Police Association on the executive board, you guys hang in there, you keep fighting. But I'm gonna tell you this, you gotta stick together. You've got to stick together, because if they can divide you, they can conquer you. If they, listen to me, if they can divide you, they can conquer you. But if you stick together like this, guess what? We have always came out as winners, one way or the other. Might have took some time, but you can do it. So, John, let's get right into this. The first thing I want to say is my condolences as a citizen to Officer McKinney, who was shot in the line of duty, to him and his family once again. So, can you tell us anything about the arrangements and all of that?
Well, the Sea of Blue is going to be Sunday evening, and I believe it starts at 7:45. And of course, the service is going to be Mondays will be taken up by the visitation in the morning, and then the service in the afternoon. And this is such a hard time for police officers, because we know the pressures we're under generally. Right now, we're under pressures internally, we're under pressures externally, and then you have a situation like this, which is a stark reminder of these brave young men and women who go out there and literally you see what they're willing to risk.
Wow.
For their
lives.
fellows. Their lives.
You know, it's one thing to say it.
That's right, but then when you see it, and then so many of the officers we have now are young folks, and I look out across the classes, and they're brothers and sisters. I see a diversity of race and gender, you name it, but they're all there together, and they're all sacrificing together, and this is it's touched all of us very, very deeply, and it's been hard days.
Now, you talked about, that's another thing that I saw that was a little precarious to me, the Sea of Blue. The Sea of Blue is going to be 4 blocks long?
Yeah, I noticed that too, and I have not really gotten an explanation as to...
They're going to start at
Southland
Mall.
Right.
And ride up to Raines Precinct, is right up the street to Elvis Presley. You know, in the past, we have honored police officers with the Sea of Blue that actually kind of went through the city, went to the church.
That's right.
You know, it passed the precinct in which the officer worked, and it also passed the scene where it actually occurred. So I guess they're going to start at Southbrook Mall or Southland Mall and actually go down Holmes Road or back up in there, wherever it is, Raines Road, Holmes Road, back down into Lakeview Gardens, because that's where it occurred, down in Lakeview Gardens, and back out up toward the precinct or something to that
Right,
effect.
yeah,
But
finish at the precinct.
This is one of the shortest, because the actual funeral is going to be at Hope Church. So
correct.
I was a little bit thrown off when I saw that, and I was kind of trying to figure out what's going on. But you have a new administration, and I don't know if they're just doing something different. So I'm not going to beat them up too bad about that. But I just thought it was a little bit different.
It caught my attention as well. We've been working so hard and all these things going on, I really haven't had time to focus on it too much. But it was noted by me as well, and I have not reached out to find exactly what they're thinking.
Well,
but,
and just to let you know, Mary Young and Chief Davis, it's been noted by a lot of police officers because I got those phone calls. Individuals were a little upset because they're like, it's only 4 blocks. Well, I said, but it's probably going to go down into Lakeview Gardens by the scene in which it occurred, and then back up and around to the, well, it ain't going to go to the church, I don't guess, because the church is Hope. So I don't think it's going to go back out.
It won't go all the way out there.
Yeah, so was it going to end at the precinct?
I believe so. I believe it ends at the precinct.
Okay, okay. So how are the officers, because we focus on Officer McKinney, who was who was killed, but we also had 2 other officers that were shot. And you don't hear a lot about that, but there were 3 officers actually shot out there that day, and Officer McKinney succumbed to his wounds. But the other officers, the other 2, which I haven't heard a whole lot about, I haven't even seen them mentioned, I haven't heard the police department say nothing about it, which gets on my nerves.
I've spoken to them. I spoke to them that night. They were in, obviously, shock.
Yeah.
Good spirits in the sense of just dealing with that's what officers do. They deal with things, they handle it. I've talked to them since. They physically, I think they're going to be fine. They got a road to recovery, but we just have to think about it in their heart, emotionally.
Exactly.
The things they're going to have to deal with. But so far, they've been strong. They got a good support system, a family.
Good.
And a lot of people are reaching out to them.
Well, see, I just don't, I'm the type of person, I don't want them to be forgotten.
Absolutely.
And I don't want them to get lost in the sauce.
Exactly.
Because they also experienced a traumatic event when this officer was actually killed. And to be in a firefight, I don't think a lot of people really and truly understand what it's like out there in the dark when you got people shooting at you and you are shooting at people. That is a very traumatic experience. And, I listened to some of the radio communications. Channel 13 had some of the communications.
That was tough.
Yeah.
And you bring up a point, and because the media just broke this, and I'm sure every officer understands this, but the media is kind of making a big deal that a number of officers were relieved of duty, but that's standard.
Yeah.
When there's a traumatic event, there is that focus on these folks. They need to decompress. They don't need to be on the street. So I don't want the public reading into officers being relieved. It's really kind of an unfortunate way to state it, but I've noticed some of the media is kind of putting that out there, but don't read into that. That is just for those officers and their well-being. We're just taking care of them.
Well, plain and simple, there's an investigation that has to be conducted.
That's
All
right.
those individuals that were involved in the investigation have to be removed from the situation because, like you said, you want to give them time to decompress. Plus, you don't want them to put them right back into the breach. To whereas the way it is here in the city of Memphis now, and at some points you might be in an incident right now, and you get right back in the car, and you could be involved in another incident. So you have to allow these individuals time to decompress, and you also have to allow time for the official investigation itself, so that it can be determined exactly what occurred that night based upon the evidence that presents itself. And I'm sure that they have body cam footage that's probably going to be released later and all of those kinds of things. So how do the police feel in regards to this individual? He had been locked up a month prior. He was locked up with a switch at that time. He was in 2 stolen cars. And if I'm not mistaken, when they pulled up on him this time, he was asleep, possibly, in a car, which was also stolen, and he had another switch. So how are the officers, and he was released, ROR, that's been the main subject that's been going on here lately. He was released on his own recognizance.
The officers are like many citizens. They're frustrated. They're angry. This should have never happened. This individual should have never been out. And I came out and said he and his prosecutors fought for a higher bond.
Right.
Well, it turns out audio came out, and not only did they not fight for one, they said they were okay with the lower one. And so I want people to mark that down. But we're living at this time, no accountability. These people are getting back on the streets. This happened to an officer this time, and how many times has it happened to citizens too, just over and over? And Officer McKinney should be alive today if we were holding people accountable. There's no excuse for this offender that was out on the street. There's no excuse for it.
You know, I was driving to the studio tonight. I came through Orange Mound up Park, and it was crazy because I was behind this car, and this car had so many bullet holes in it, it was pitiful. And I said, that had to be a switch. Because, you know, if you just pow, 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 you know, you're kind of all over the place. But all of these was kind of grouped, you know, at the right passenger rear end of the car. And I'm like, Jesus. And I was having a conversation with a gentleman the other day who lives in South Memphis, out there by Gill, over off of South Parkway. And he was telling me about how many of these young people are out here running around with switches, because a lot of them are afraid if they don't have one and their opposition has one, then that puts them at a disadvantage. So now the going thing for everybody is to have a switch on a gun, which turns it into an automatic weapon, which a lot of times they just spray the area that they're trying to shoot, and you have innocent people killed. I heard the other night a gentleman was killed and a baby was shot in some apartment complex. You know, you're hearing about shootings that are occurring all over the place daily. I don't know how many times I've heard about shootings that are occurring downtown now near Beale Street. That's becoming a problem. I mean, we're getting individuals down there by the FedEx Forum and just having a gunfight by the FedEx Forum. You know, at some point, something has to be done. And I know people don't want to hear it from Mike Williams, you know, but people always, I said, don't ask me if you don't want to know. Stop asking me. And at some point, don't get me wrong, I'm a black man in a black city. I love my black people and all of that, but at some point we have to take responsibility for what's going on, because it's normally preponderant in the black community. It's our young black boys, it's our young black girls that are committing a lot of these crimes, and at some point we have to say enough is enough, and we have to take responsibility for what's going on. Even back in the 60s when we had civil rights movement, 50s and 60s, there was one thing that I could definitely say, even though at that time we thought that black people were suppressed, it was even stressed more so that you had to represent your race in a positive manner. And John probably feel a little uneasy now, but I'm going.
I know, Mike.
But we had to represent our race in a positive manner. So school was stressed, and being positive was stressed, because everybody keep telling me, you know, we're going to focus on the positive. We're going to focus on the positive. It's easy for you to focus on the positive when you run around with a bodyguard. It's easy for you to focus on the positive when you living in a $500,000, $600,000, $800,000 house. It's easy for you to focus on the positive when you walked into the door and you park at the door. And you always got that special attention. But when you're just a regular citizen out here and you're trying to go to a Grizzly game, or you're trying to go to a Redbirds game, or you're trying to go to a concert downtown, or you're just trying to go on Beale Street because you pay your tax dollars and you want to enjoy your life, but you can't, but you tell me keep focusing on the positive. Well, who's focusing on the negative?
You know, you brought up something I do want to talk about.
What's that?
Well, and I get focusing on the positive, but to solve a problem, you have to admit you have a problem.
Exactly. I always say that.
No alcoholic ever cured themselves or moved on. They had to hit rock bottom and admit they had a problem.
Or drug addict.
Or drug addict, whatever it may be. And so there's a local organization, and I won't name it, but I was at it recently, and they were talking about stats. And they came out recently with this number saying, with the snapshot saying things look better. But if you, well, it's posted on my Facebook page, you can go see it. If you look at the long term over the last several years, crime is going up. That's the long term trend. That is not a snapshot. And I get this urge to get good news, or for the chamber to be able to good news that things are getting better. But you just look at the news. You look at the victims out there. You look on the streets.
Yes.
Things are not getting better. And we have got to accept that. Like you said, it's not being negative, it's being realistic.
Yes.
And if you're going to solve a problem, the citizens of this city deserve realism and honesty, and let's get in there and really do it. And let's not try to sideways ourselves like, oh, this little number here, this little number here. We know what's going on.
Right.
And it's heading in the wrong direction.
Well, but see, I think the problem is just like with an alcoholic or a drug addict or any other type of addict, once you admit that you have a problem, then you have to, you can no longer say, well, I don't know, or I don't know the reason why. I know the reason why. I know why we're going through all of this, because the system has failed, parents have failed, I have failed, and I'm not going to put it off on everybody and not put it off on myself. I have failed because I still feel as though I have not been vocal enough. I still have not been engaged enough. I think my generation has failed because a lot of this is residual effects of when we were coming up and they did ask us to go to college and they did ask us to be positive individuals. We did that. But now we're in positions to whereas we could have changed things and we could have did a path so that these young people could have had a positive road to follow. We gave up our school system. We're allowing all of our tax dollars to be given away. You know, just a whole lot of things as far as I'm concerned. Because when I came up, we didn't have nothing. But there were actually more activities in place as far as I'm concerned that would help and assist individuals in being that positive person that you want them to be. Okay, so we did have an officer who was killed. We had 2 officers that were shot. We got crimes that's still going up. How many homicides, up or down?
Oh, they're up. I think last time I checked, there was 112, and we haven't had 112 days yet, or we just hit it. Last Tuesday, it was 101, and then by the next Tuesday, we're up to 112.
Jesus.
And it's just not, and so police officers, citizens, it's like the hits keep on coming.
Wow.
You know, and we're down to the last number, official number I looked at the department, we're down to 1,813 officers.
1,813.
That's 700 short, folks.
And I'm gonna tell you, I know for a fact that there are those that are poised to go out the door right now. I've talked to several that are actually looking at other departments. I've talked to several that are actually looking to retire because they're just tired of it. They're just sick and tired of being sick and tired. And then they're being thrown into situations that are so stressful to whereas, you know, they feel as though they don't get a break. They don't get a break in the streets. They don't get a break on the police department. They don't get a break because of the command staff. They don't get a break because some of them forgot where they came from. Oh, I'm sorry. Some of them are from here, so they don't know the history of the Memphis Police Department, and they don't know, they have not been through the system and everything that the police officers, a lot of the ones that are senior officers on the department that have been through. You know, they don't know what it felt like to go through the strike in 1978. They don't know why the individuals established an association in 1973. They don't know about all of the benefits that were taken away from the officers. They don't know the fight that they enjoy, the benefit of giving raises and all of that now because of the police association. It wasn't nothing they did. They're enjoying the benefits of what the association has done, yet they want to try to destroy the police association. And I said that. John didn't say that. Mike Williams said that. Sean Jones is trying to destroy the police association, and it pisses me off. Yes, it pisses me off because I was the president for 12 years. Anyway, that's a whole nother story.
Let me talk about a group that's upset. And real quick, a quick history lesson. In 1972, the straw that broke the camel's back that led to the creation of the Memphis Police Association. I mean, there's a lot of factors, but you had a retired Marine general who was hired.
Yes, I remember.
Not from here, no police background. Came in, very distant, very direct and all these things, and then did a rank restructure, wanted to change sergeants to warrant officers and reduce their pay. And that created a firestorm, which actually led, because in 1968, Dr. King came and showed us the way. That it's, you know, he came here for labor relations and it's collective bargaining.
Right.
And it's the strike. These are the way you get the voice of to the people, the power to the people. And so the creation of the MPA happened as a result, a direct result of that interaction at that time. But so right now, we all know, and I posted this a little bit earlier, back in 2011, highest pay, most officers, lowest crime ever recorded. Since 2011, you look at the charges, the officers go down and crime goes up, and somebody said, what happened? I said,
The
well,
correlation, yeah.
you started the pay cuts, the benefit cuts, and we lost all these officers. And so that's what happened. But you did have a group of officers, when we say 500 left, a big group stayed. They stuck it out.
Yeah.
They were loyal. And who are those officers now? A great many of them are sergeants. And they're sitting there, and this, I'm going to get into this whole second lieutenant business.
Okay. I was going to say, that was a great segue into, so he's going to talk about there's a big issue right now going on.
And we can give some background
internal to the Memphis Police Department. There was a test given for lieutenants. We didn't have second lieutenants, for lieutenants. And I'm going to tell you, even going back a little bit further, even when Chief Rollins was there, Director Rollins was there, they wanted another rank, which we had been saying all the time, you need one, because you go to most cities, you can have field sergeants out in the field as direct supervisors, not lieutenants, field sergeants. You'll see them on the scene all the time. And we've been trying to work on this for the longest. So here comes Chief Davis. And the thing happened with Tyrese Nichols, and one of the things that was identified was the fact that they didn't have field supervisors out there. So it's like, oh, okay, let's hurry and jump through our butts and do something real quick.
Well, I'll give you a little bit more context than that.
Okay.
In 2018, you were down there, and we had discussions with Chief Rollins at the time, or Director Rollins, and for a field sergeant, the idea was to get promotions for people who have been on the job for a long time, but keep those boots on the street.
Right.
And add that supervision, because we are adding a lot of younger officers, and
Right.
we think that's important too. We weren't able to get it done before because he was near the end of his career. The new administration came in, and they kind of bought in and liked it, and then at some point they went off on their own way. So here's the practical impact that it's had. According to the MOU, to be a lieutenant, you need 7 years on the job and 2 years of investigative experience. That's very important to be a supervisor.
Right.
So when the second lieutenant idea came along, we noticed that the test for second lieutenant, the job description was exactly the same as a regular lieutenant, but it was just paid less. Okay. So when they came up with their proposal that they moved forward with, you could become a second lieutenant at year 5.
Okay.
Meaning you didn't have, and then your next move would be to lieutenants.
Lieutenant.
You could jump sergeant. But if you're a sergeant who stayed, as I started talking about them, this is the group that stayed with you through thick and thin. They say, hey, my next goal is to make lieutenant, and then if God is willing, I will make major, and I'll retire and have a nice retirement.
Right.
Suddenly, second lieutenant as a rank was dropped in front of them. Their pensions and retirement plans were totally thrown off. So you had a huge group upset by that. And this is nothing negative against anybody who took the second lieutenant test. A lot of my friends did, and I have nothing against them.
Right.
But this whole idea violated our MOU. Our MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, is our Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And it is sacrosanct to us. And it would have been so easy. We tried time and time again to sit down and do things within the language of our agreement. They chose not to. They moved forward. And this is, Mike, this has frustrated people more than almost anything else. We have federal binding arbitration when there's a disagreement.
Right.
We take it to an arbitrator, he decides, and then that becomes the law of the land, so to speak. After we had made our presentations, while he was deliberating, the administration started promoting.
Did you guys ask them not to do that?
We
Wait
asked them
until
not to.
after the arbitrator's ruling?
That's right, because we said if we win, it's going to be much easier to solve this if you don't actually promote people. But while he was deliberating, they promoted. And then, after he ruled in the favor of the MPA, saying the MOU was violated, they continued to promote.
Oh, wow.
And that is and it just adds to this sense. So we don't have enough bodies. These officers, God bless them all, they're out there working their tails off, putting themselves in front of danger, and we see the consequences of that. And at the same time, this thing that is our sacrosanct Bible, that so many are sacrificed and given,
Right.
we stand on the shoulders of giants, is being
Right.
completely disrespected.
Right.
So how do you think people are going to react? There's a lot of anger and frustration, and I've just never seen it. In some ways worse than back in 2015, 2016, the division, the it's people, the morale, everybody's really hurting.
But it almost looks to me like they're intentionally creating division within the Memphis Police Department. It's Mike Williams talking, not John, because the prudent thing to do would, okay, you want this rank, and we're talking about Department of Justice coming in, and we're talking about all of the things that came in behind the Tyrese Nichols unfortunate incident. And now you want to move ahead and create even more disturbance by going ahead and blatantly violating the MOU, because when the arbitrator came back, the federal arbitrator came back and said, look, move all of those people back to where they were.
Go to the table, do it right, and move forward.
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, the MPA even came to Chief Davis and the mayor and said, look, we don't want to hurt anybody in this. We want to work this out, and we want to work it out in a way that it's not going to be so impactful, because what the arbitrator has said is move them all back to patrolmen. But because they have taken the test, because you guys don't want to create division within the Memphis Police Department because of all of the things that are going on in the city of Memphis, and the police are needed, and they don't need to be distracted with all of this noise. I'm gonna say that, all of this noise that's going on around them. They need to be able to focus. And it was very evident on last week why they need to be focused on their jobs and not all of this external noise that is occurring. But you even said, even after the arbitrator ruled, they went on and kept promoting till they promoted everybody pretty much on the list. Is that correct?
That is correct. And here's the other issue. In the past, if we had lost at arbitration, we would have abided by it, because that's what you do.
Right.
And the mayor got up in front of nearly 400 officers, before all this, and said that he would abide.
Wait a minute, hold, stop. Explain that.
Well, early on, the mayor wanted to speak to officers and get to learn about their concerns and talk to them and see what their point of view was. And
This was when he first got in office.
We encouraged it. It's like, the MPA is not Matt Cunningham. The MPA is not John Covington. The MPA at your time was not Mike Williams.
Right.
It was the members.
Right.
It was we're just the vessel, the voice. And we said, that's a great idea. And so in 3 days, we didn't have much time. We put something out. We got nearly 400 officers. And he was asked specifically, will you abide by the arbitrator's ruling? And he said he would. Well, the arbitrator's ruling came out, and lo and behold, the city has sued us and taken it into circuit court, which is unheard of, that would happen.
Wow.
And that's created a lot of frustration as well. And the thing is, they're not questioning whether it was a correct ruling. Their relief they're asking for is another arbitration.
What? So you get an arbitrator, the arbitrator ruled, but he didn't rule in your favor, so you want a different arbitrator, or what we're going to do, keep getting arbitrators until they rule in your favor, if they ever rule in your favor?
Well, one wonders. But I'll tell you this. Police officers value, as individuals, we value many things, but you value
trust.
You got to shoot straight with us. You got to trust. And we want you to play by the rules, because
Right.
we're out there. What is our job? To get people to play
You
by the rules.
asking us to play by, well, you asking them to play by the
We're
rules.
asking the citizens. We certainly are held to a standard, and that is absolutely fine. We
Right.
should be. We're asked to play by the rules, and when you have an MOU, an agreement like that, we want you to play by the rules. And when you don't do that with officers, that creates a lot of anger and tension. And I want to say, I can't say this enough, the first lieutenants, or the second lieutenants rather, I understand if there's an opportunity for you that may come before you that you can better your situation.
Everybody wants to get promoted.
They were put in this position by that choice to promote while the arbitrator was deliberating. And, we reached out a number of times we wanted to avoid a situation like that. But when it's all said and done, all we have is the words on that paper. And I'm not doing my job for the gift that's been handed to me, not by the votes of the current officers, but the history, people like you, Mike Lee, going way back, all the former presidents. We have this duty to protect this language. And that's where we are. And it's nothing personal, and I love every single member out there, but it has created a lot of division and hurt.
Well, and did you guys tell these officers in the beginning, if this happens, we're going to take it to arbitration. And if the arbitrator rules, then you may come on the short end of the stick, because I would have kind of lobbied the membership to not take the test. And that's Mike Williams. I would have lobbied not to take don't take the test. Do not take that test. You know what I'm saying? If there is no test, people to take the test. But I know that's hard, John, because there are going to be people that say, shoot, ain't nobody going to take the test. If I take it, I'm going to be at the top of the list. I'm going to get promoted.
Once again, I never want to judge it, because we all have families that we want to put bread on the table in our careers. And I get that. To me, this was, if we had followed the plan that we had laid out, and this is an important point to make.
Okay.
When we did field sergeant, those field sergeants were to be subject to calls. These second lieutenants, a third of them have gone into bureaus, they're not even on the street.
Oh, stop. So they wanted to promote all of these second lieutenants, and you're telling me that a third of them are not in the streets in supervisory capacity?
They're in different bureaus. And then the ones on the street, and a number of them apparently.
A lot of the, okay.
Well, I was going to say, and the ones that are on the street are not subject to calls.
Really?
They're not answering calls, to my understanding. And so what you've effectively done, when we're looking at some of the lowest numbers that we have in a long time, you've effectively taken boots off the streets, which is not a good recipe for success. But I think, like I said, what we laid out before was a way to do this practically within the language. And, you know, right now, here we are. It should have never gotten to the point where we're in the courts fighting, but that's where we are. And so, you know, we have to stand firm and just move forward as best we can.
Wow. So how the membership in the police association, how is it right now? How is it?
Well, you know, there's with everything going on, it just seems like one thing after another, you know, and everybody's beaten down, everybody's hurt. There's a lot of raw feeling. But I will say this, and this is something I point out to a lot of people. Out of that 1,813, only 47 are not members of the MPA.
Wow.
We represent, that's 98%, 97.5 the last time I checked. And I'm not great at math, but I think that's, you can say 98. So the great majority we do represent.
Okay.
And we're fighting for them. We've had great success when it comes to restoration of benefits pension, one of the biggest raises. We're facing a challenge right now. And I think Mike said it so clearly and eloquently earlier, we've got to stick together. We've got to find a way to stick together. And that goes to, and there's harsh, rough feelings on both sides of this question, and I get that. But we were reminded with the tragedy of Officer McKinney that no matter what divide, there's more that binds us together, because in the end, we have all that we have, each other. And we cannot forget that. No matter what comes to divide us or tries to pull us apart, in the end, we have got to stay together.
You know, and I think people that are in influential positions really have to be careful, because they may have the ability to make decisions, and people may have to abide by those decisions. They may have the ability to give direction and guidance to individuals. But I want to remind you that a lot of these individuals on the police department are not on the police department for no reason. They're on the police department because they're the ones that are standing in the gap. They're the ones that will run to gunfire as opposed to running away from gunfire. Those are the ones that are putting their lives on the line, and you're asking them to put their lives on the line at the same time while you're releasing criminals out of jail and allowing them to continue to run on the streets. These are the same individuals that, even though that happens, they go right back and arrest those individuals over and over and over and over again. And they have to watch this revolving door at 201 Poplar. And I know some people are going to say, well, Michael, you know, are you against the black community? No, I am not against the black community. I'm against criminals. I'm against people that perpetrate crimes. I'm against people that hurt people. I'm against people, you know, I was watching a special to whereas it was something like $100 billion have been pilfered in a lot of these snatch and grabs. You know, you're running businesses out of the city. You got individuals that are talking about leaving the city of Memphis because of the crime and because they're afraid and they're frustrated. And you have officers that are trying to leave as well. Once again, that, this, I don't know, Chief Davis, you may not remember the mass exodus that happened here in the city of Memphis when we lost almost 500 police officers, or we lost over 500 police officers because of things that were happening. You weren't here when that happened. Everybody said, give Chief Davis a chance, and I've given a chance. And I'm not so mad at Chief Davis. Well, I am a little upset at Chief Davis, but I'm even more so mad at the puppet behind the curtain. And see, a lot of people, this is Mike Williams talking again, not John Covington. He's just sitting here. The puppet behind the curtain, which is Sean Jones, who I don't know how many phone calls, Mayor Young, I've gotten in regards to Sean Jones, who is calling a lot of the shots, even though you have removed him from the center stage. Now he's behind the curtain, but he's still calling a lot of shots. And a lot of those shots are very detrimental to the morale, to the livelihood of the Memphis Police Department, the officers therein. And it's so much frustration and confusion out there now amongst the officers on the Memphis Police Department that, you heard it here, something has to give. And I don't know, I remember a funeral of an officer where a mayor walked in, and I remember all of the officers turned their back on that mayor. That mayor only served one term because the attitude and the temperament of the officers at that particular time was also a reflection of the temperament and the feelings of the citizens here in the city of Memphis. Because you better understand that a lot of the officers, and you guys wanted it that way, are citizens of the city of Memphis. So that means they have relatives, they have friends, they have individuals that love and care about them and their welfare in this city, and they vote. So keep down this road if you like. And this is Mike Williams talking, not John. I have to keep clarifying that because I don't want John to get in trouble. But I did ask him to come on the show, but you guys know I'm cut from a different cloth. Sometimes I wish I was at this fight. I'm like, but I'm not. I'm on the sidelines. And John, I think you guys are doing an excellent job.
Well, and I wanted to make a point. I was on a radio station today. When I talk about accountability, when I talk about being tough on crime, that does not mean I don't believe in programming.
Yeah.
And support and opportunity for you.
Right.
And
I believe in chances.
I understand the history as much as I can looking in from the outside, and we have got to address a lot of things. We need to do both. And I'll even go on a limb. Mayor Young came out and talked about a tax increase.
Woo!
And I say this.
Kind of lost me there too, but go ahead.
But if that's what if you can, like we did when we came out and asked the citizens, we laid out exactly, boom, boom, boom. This is what it's going to be spent on. It's going to be spent on pensions for officers, health care, pre-K, and street paving. That's what it's been spent on. And if it's going to take money to pay officers and to have programs, then let's talk about it. Because I want solutions. Admission there's a problem.
I don't know,
real
John.
Solutions.
They lost me when they started asking about more money.
Because you always know money can.
Well, no, I'm saying I count money. You just dedicated $700 million to the fairground project.
Fair enough.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I hear you.
I count money, and y'all know I've always counted money. So you're going to spend $700 million on the fairground project. You're still building stuff over there. None of it belongs to us. You're giving all of these people all of this money to do things, that don't pertain to the citizens when you have a problem that you have not dedicated the resources toward. But now you want to come and ask me as a taxpayer in this city for more money.
You didn't think you could get any more fired up. But I found the next gear.
Yeah.
I got Mike Williams going.
Well, I'm just
and I appreciate that. You're right.
Saying,
you make a powerful argument.
As an informed citizen in this city, I have always watched the money. People have always said, watch the money, see where the money's going. And even when Mayor Strickland was in, I talked about it all the time. It's like, you don't have money for this, you don't have money for that, you don't have money to direct to the citizens' need. Why haven't we done the community centers? Why haven't we put youth programs in place. And I know, Mayor Young, you are just now coming in. I get that. But at the same token, I have a problem when you keep taxing the citizens. When money has been there, we don't have the obligation of the schools anymore. I mean, I could go down a list and a list and a list and a list of things, but you're saying we're in debt. How? Well, I tell you how, because you're buying all of these daggone GO bonds. You're letting all of these people go with all of these pilots that should be bringing in money.
When
We've created all these TIFs and TDGs.
Oh yeah, all these.
But go ahead, I'm
alphabet
sorry.
soup. Well, and you bring up a point too that they always say to you because we're in negotiations too right now.
We ain't got no money.
I've never met an administration
We don't have any
that
money.
wasn't broke when
Yeah.
it came time to negotiations.
Exactly.
And they'll say to you, budgets are a series of choices. I get that. But on a deeper level, budgets are a series of priorities before those choices. And you have got to set those priorities in the correct way. And from my point of view, it is making sure you have robust amounts of first responders. That's how you get crime under control. And I'm also a true believer in programs for the people and support and opportunity. You've got to do that. It's not all about bringing businesses in here, but if you give so much that you don't really gain anything from it, what have you really accomplished?
Right.
So you've got to have that balance. And so it's going to take a lot of things, but first and foremost, we've got to get this crime under control. And this revolving door of these bad guys getting out, it's got to stop.
So let me ask you this, John, because I think we only have about 10, 15 minutes left, something to that effect, because we started a little bit late. What is the morale like on the police department right now?
It's not good. And how could it be? You look at the crime, you go out and fighting the good fight, and some of the people that you arrest or get out of jail before you get off, and they'll even tell you that. I'll be out of jail before you get off work. You got this division that's happened because of violations of our MOU. And now you've got this young man who goes out, who's got a fiance and a child, and he loses his life, going out trying to serve and protect the citizens. And it's all so much. It just compounds. And also there's not enough of us, so that officers are having to work all this overtime. It's hard to get off work. It's a real grind.
Wow.
And my heart breaks because so many of them are staying here and fighting the good fight. But I totally understand the ones who decide to move on. I get it. And I want them to stay, but these are not easy times. And I just want the people in power to make decisions. When you make decisions related to these brave men and women, think about their lives, how it's impacting them as they sit in their patrol car, because they're the backbone of what's going to protect and save the city.
Right.
And if you're not making decisions based on every time putting their best interests first, you're going to have problems.
I just want to say that my hat goes off to the men and women of the Memphis Police Department, because I know you are in trying times right now. I see Essica, the other president of the Memphis Police Association, she popped on the live. And I know that there are a lot of things that, she retired here recently. And we wish her all the luck in her future endeavors. I think
She doesn't need luck. She's going to be fine.
Think she landed
always,
on her feet pretty good.
she's an incredible woman. She's always going to be successful.
Most definitely. But I want the citizens to understand that there's a lot going on behind the scenes, a lot going on that's going to affect you ultimately, because that determines the type of services that you're going to receive out there in the city. I know that a lot of these guys are putting their lives on the line on a daily basis. And a lot of the things that have been said up here and probably heated have come from me, not necessarily John Covington. But I definitely wanted him here because I wanted him to be able to explain to you a lot of the internal things that are going on within the Memphis Police Department and the Memphis Police Association, and how they're, and I want to say, hopefully, everybody's trying to come to the table are trying to find an amicable solution to all of these problems, because it is still not too late. And as much as people think I'm aggressive and I'm that dude that jump in the water, I'm always open to amicable solutions that are going to help. I still wish Mayor Young all the luck in the world because he's a young man, and I think that he has the ability to touch the elite in this city and also the ground in this city, individuals that are hardworking and all of that. And hopefully he'll find a way to be able to pull all of that together to make this the city that it could become.
He has all the tools.
He has them.
He has all the tools. He's an impressive man.
Very smart.
I like him very much, respect him very much. He has all the tools to be one of our greatest mayors.
But I tell you, you better watch where you step, though, and you better watch where you put your allegiance. And I had to find out, as the president of Memphis Police Association, I couldn't fall on my sword for everybody. And there were certain things I couldn't fall on my sword for. And a lot of time, Essica would have to pull me back so that I didn't fall on that sword. And that's what's good about having someone around you that you trust and that are going to tell you the truth and the honest truth, whether you like it or not, because a lot of times, you may not want to hear it, but I want somebody around me who's going to tell me. So, and even if I make the wrong decision, I made the decision based upon the ground truth, all right? Once again, our hearts and our prayers go out to Officer McKinney and his family. Our hearts and prayers go out to the other officers that were shot. And I'm going to even say this, my hearts and prayers go out to the family members of the other individuals that were involved in the incident, because a lot of these young people don't understand the things that they do encompasses their entire family. A comment that Mr. Lebley or Labley or whatever, and I'm not trying to be funny, I just can't remember his name. It was something like that. I saw a statement that his mother made today, and that just goes to show that it affects the whole family. So I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in to Wake Up Memphis. Oh God, wait! I want to say Wake Up Memphis from
That's
behind.
old school.
I got the
You want
police
old
with me. Wake Up Memphis from behind the badge. I want to thank you for tuning in to Memphis 360. And once again, it has been a plum, pleasing pleasure. Thank you so much, John,
Thank you, sir, very
for
much.
coming in. And until next week, same time, same location. Be blessed, be strong, be encouraged, and we'll see you next week.
Can you actually imagine hosting your next event at the all-new SVP Banquet in